welcome to my knitting podcast. My name is Monika and this is the 5th episode. I'm gonna start with what I'm wearing. This is my finished object and also at the moment my favorite t-shirt. I'm gonna try and figure out how to show this detail along the raglan. I think it's quite pretty. This has an I-cord edge, but ribbing along both the cuffs and the hem. And it's made out of Untold yarn, cotton merino, in the colorway jet black, with 3.5mm needles. I think I also used 3.5 for the I-cord. I'm not 100% certain. I'm gonna have to check. So yeah, this is my only finished object for this episode, but I'm really happy. The fit is nice. It's actually quite warm, which today is especially nice because it's the first day of snow. So I'm very happy. It's not stifling, and for those of you who have heard my trouble with wool before, this one does not itch at all. It's super comfortable, so I am very pleased. I'm planning on making a new one later. Let me see, maybe you can... No, I have a bag with more cotton merino stashed away, and I'm gonna make the same t-shirt but in a larger size in a different colorway. But I don't think I'm gonna do that in at least a few weeks, I think. At least not until I have written up the pattern, so I can just follow it and make sure everything looks right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm very pleased. I used less than 6 balls, which is very good because I started with 5 and then bought 2 more. So it turns out I only needed 1 more, but I was uncertain when I bought it. The length is now quite good. I'm gonna show a picture. The length is quite good because it goes over every pair of trousers I have. And I also like the length of the arms, mostly because I wanted it to be short sleeves, but not so short that it's like a summer garment, but more like underneath things that might itch. So yeah, the next one I might actually make even longer sleeves, so it's more like down here. And since I'm planning on making it in a slightly larger size, I actually bought 10 balls of yarn, so we'll see. I'm sorry if you can hear the wind. It's quite a stormy day today, so I hope you can't hear it, but if you do, I'm sorry. I realized last time that the noise was actually very loud and throughout the entire episode, but I didn't want to re-record. I was quite happy. But yeah, I might have to consider getting a microphone or something so you won't be picking up so much of the outside noise. But yeah, that's for later. I'm gonna start with some of my, or continue with some of my whips. I'm not 100% certain which sequence I'm gonna do things in, but I think I'll just pick up stuff and tell you if I worked on it or not. I can start with the one that's in front of me actually. I worked on it a bit last night, and I have worked on it throughout the week. It is a pair of socks, and I have started on the heel flap on both of them. I usually knit socks 2 at a time, mostly because I prefer it, and also to avoid second sock syndrome. I used to have terrible second sock syndrome. I have at least one, or had at least one sock where it didn't have its partner, but I think I ended up throwing that one away because it was so long since I knitted and I couldn't find figure out which yarn or needles I'd used. I knew I didn't use standard sock yarn, but I just couldn't figure out which. It was before I started knitting more profoundly last year. So it was before I got any of these. Most of this is sock yarn. All of it is hand dyed. This also is hand dyed, it's just kicked up. The rest is not. Most of this is actually cotton or bamboo. Those two are from a different project I'm gonna show later. Those are the balls I haven't used yet. And then I have some leftovers, and then I have actually up here it's some fake mohair. In the case that it doesn't contain any mohair at all, it's silk and alpakka and cashmere, I think. I might be wrong about the alpaca part, but at least cashmere. And I have used a tiny bit of it for one project and realized that I couldn't handle knitting with even that fine of mohair. I'm still planning on using it for something, I just don't know what. And definitely not for a hat, because apparently I am very sensitive to wool hair and over my ears. So yeah, not gonna happen. But yeah, these socks knit with 2mm needles, and the purple is Mrs. Fox Glitter Merino in the colorway Cold Shoulder, which I forgot to say last time. And this one is LITLG Singles. It is not a sock yarn, it's just a fingering weight yarn, and the colorway is Angel City. This one does contain nylon and also contains some stellina, so you might be able to see it glittering. Very pretty, yeah. Also, I didn't realize it when I picked this over the other purple yarn for stripes, but the purple yarn here actually contains this exact color in some of the specs. So it actually looks a lot more cohesive than I was afraid it would. So I'm very happy. And these socks are really nice. I'm doing a slip stitch heel. And I think I'm almost done with the heel flap. I think I'm missing like 5 rounds. Okay, so I'm done with 2/3 perhaps. Anyway, last time I hadn't started on the heels at all. I think this is my marker. Yeah, that's my marker. I knit like 5 more rounds and then I started on the heel flaps. And I'm very happy. They look very nice. So yeah. I'm gonna move the markers later. I'm just gonna put this over here. I realized also last time that every time anything clacked against the table you could hear it, so I am very sorry about all the noise I'm making. Yeah. So that's the sock project. I had a second sock project that I started with in this yarn and color. It's the same as a different... Oh, I was planning on making the same pair as a different pair, which I'm now going to show a picture of. Which is a combination of the color palette socks and my own design, because I changed it quite a lot. But I had only done like the cuff of one, and then I kind of was thinking maybe I should make a lace sock instead, because I really wanted to do that. And I started knitting up a lace pattern, and then I figured I didn't like it, and I tried to rip back, but ripping back in lace meant a lot of work, and I lost a few stitches, and then I tried to pick out the cuff, and then I was like, it's only the cuff. I'm just gonna rip it out and do it later. So I don't have that project anymore. Which is actually for the better, I think, because then the other sock project will get a bit more love. So yeah. So that's the only sock project I have at the moment. I'm gonna wind up some kind of sock yarn, which can be a different pair. I'm starting to have a bit of leftover sock yarn from other sock projects, so I can use them for heels and toes. I do also think I'm gonna have some leftover from the sock I have now, but perhaps not enough for both heel and toe and cuff, but perhaps only for the cuff, or maybe I'm just gonna use it for some stripes like I did with Life in the Long Grass yarn, which I actually think is this one, but the lighting makes this look like brownish or something. It's just because it's stuffed all the way back, I guess. Yeah, so that's the sock project. The next project, I have this long-term lace weight sweater. It's a thin sweater, obviously, because it's lace weight. And I have actually been able to get a lot done with this one. I have knit, okay, not that much. I have apparently knit 2 rounds since last week. This will not be my priority this week either, because I'm going to show you a different project that I'm almost done with. But as soon as I'm done with that one, this will be my priority, because I realized that this one is actually nice enough that I can use it as a sort of Christmas sweater if we're not doing an all-out festive outfit thing. And it will make me a lot more comfortable wearing this and trousers instead of dress, because I usually don't use dresses. I have a lot of dresses, but I don't like wearing them. I have one dress I'm comfortable wearing, and I think that's mostly because the weight of it is substantial, so I'm not constantly cold or being worried it might like rise up. Also, it's not tight fitting, so I feel very free wearing it, which I don't do when I wear normal clothes, but I don't feel stifled either. Yeah, but yeah, this one is made out of no, not Lykkegarn. It's Strikkekista Potensial in the colorway Lollipop. This one is 50% silk and 50% merino. Superwash merino? I am actually not 100% certain. I've gotta look up the tag I have. There it is. Superwash merino. So yeah, 50% silk, 50% superwash merino, and I think I might do the collar on this quite soon, mostly so that it's easier to see how it will fit. I will not do an I-cord collar on this one because I only do that for t-shirts. This one will have like a proper, most likely fold over collar to give it a bit more structure. Yeah, that's my plan. Sorry, every time I film I get some yarn on my nose and it tickles and itches, so yeah. I have gotten quite far. This is saddle shoulder construction, and I have started on the increases for the sleeves. Quite substantial amount actually, but I'm still quite far away from being able to split for sleeves, and when I'm gonna do that I have to figure out what to do with the sleeves, because I don't have any waist yarn that's thin enough, so I might have to actually use the yarn I'm already using, which isn't ideal because then it will be difficult to see where the stitches are compared to where the waist yarn is. I'm not certain what I'm gonna do. It's not ideal. But yeah, I think perhaps I still have more than half of my ball left, considering I've only knit like 2 rounds since last time. Oh, no, this is again getting tangled. Yeah, no, I haven't even used, I've used less than a gram since last time, so yeah, I barely have any progress. But then again, this hasn't been my priority. It's only been like whenever I feel like I have time. So yeah, I love it. It's a beautiful color. It's in this light, this color seems quite accurate, but when I look at it in sunlight, it's more purplish. Like, the red is quite pronounced, but the purple bits, I feel like they're kind of hidden in this light, because the stripes are very like bright and pops out a lot. I have not so far done helical knitting, which is what they kind of recommend when you use hand-dyed yarn. I haven't bothered, to be honest, because I don't use tonal, I use variegated or like very distinct yarn, which means that you don't get that terrible of a jump when you start with a new ball. Though with this one I might do some helical knitting when I start the new ball, just to make sure I don't get a jog, like a very pronounced one. I have 2 more balls, or rather skeins, I think it's these 2. But I don't think I'm gonna need more than like 1, considering how far I've gotten with just half a ball, less than half a ball. But I'm glad I have both. I also have basically the same yarn, just a tiny bit thicker. Instead of 600 meters per 100 gram, it's 400 meters per 100 gram. And I think it's these 2. Which is like cold purple, still very light. Also made of superwash and merino and silk. Which I'm planning on making more like a summer top. While this is more like a year-round thing. Wow, that's a lot of noise outside now. I hope you can't hear it. But yeah. So, it hasn't got a lot of love, but some. Yeah, I'm gonna put it away. Oh yeah, and I'm knitting this up in 2.5mm needles, I forgot to say. So yeah. The next one I have actually knit a tiny bit on. It's still not a priority knit. This is my champagne cardigan by PetiteKnit. It's the second time I'm actually following a pattern. It's knitted out of Ellen yarn from Rusta, which is 100% acrylic, and instead of knitting it stockinette, I'm using broken rib, and I think it's knit up in 4.5mm needles. Yes, 4.5. I have only knit like an inch. Wow, really nice. The past week, it was just because I was editing the last week's video, and this was on the top of the pile, so I just grabbed it and knit some, which is quite nice. I don't even think I got so far as to getting any increases on the front done yet. But yeah, I might have to sacrifice one of my roam counters for this one, because I keep trying to figure out if I'm supposed to increase now or not. I mean, it's relatively easy to count, so perhaps not, but maybe it will be more difficult to see later, because this yarn is, because I'm knitting it in broken rib and it is acrylic, it might be a bit difficult to see when I have increased or not, because it doesn't give a lot, so you can't, it's not so easy to see. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, I haven't done a lot, but I have done a tiny bit. I think that's all there is to say about this one. Not a lot. So yeah, I usually don't follow patterns. Most of my patterns are self-drafted. So if I forget to say it is self-drafted, because I always remember to say when it's not my design. Like this t-shirt, self-drafted, the red one, self-drafted. The socks technically too are self-drafted, though they are a vanilla sock pattern, so I mean, how much variation can you have on a vanilla sock? It just vary the length of the leg and vary the length of the foot, and yeah. So yeah, that's just it. Next two projects I'm just gonna do together. I still have not fixed my my hat, self-drafted pattern. I think I'm calling it forced hiking hat, which is very appropriate for where I live. This would be the perfect hat to go hiking, especially now when it's snowing. But I stumbled on some problems. I haven't ripped back, I haven't fixed the pattern yet, and that's also why I haven't continued on my husband's. I installed the needles. This is knit up in Sandnes Garn Double Sunday, and the pattern is self-drafted. This is size 2, this is size 4, and I'm pretty certain I used 4mm needles because I stole these needles for a different project. Yep, 4mm, which I'm gonna show probably last. It's my favorite project, so I can't wait, but yeah. Still haven't fixed them, probably should. Haven't. That's the gist, basically. I'm not gonna knit up the black one, that's for my husband, until this one, which is for me, is fixed. Just to make sure that I can actually follow the pattern and make sure it sits nice and all of that. Though I could have gotten further on the ribbing because I'm not going to change that part. I'm very pleased with the ribbing. It's only the decreases that I'm not happy with. So yeah. And now, yeah, this is one of the last projects. I'm just gonna bring the whole one over because this one always gets tangled. This is my sailor sweater. Still haven't fixed the issues with this one. For those of you that are not new, I made the armhole too shallow, and because of the increases here, it means I have to take back like 4 stripes on either side, so I can knit like a stripe or 2 more and then do the decreases again. Oh no, increases I mean, I'm sorry. And I haven't bothered. When I realized it was too tight, I just lost all motivation, and also I knew I couldn't wear this without anything under, so I had to get this one done. Also, this one is for a concert. Yeah, this one has been left to the wayside. But I had really fun with this construction, because I started here with this turquoise stripe, and then I knit up, and I cast off a few stitches here on the middle to start the neckline, and then I knit these 2 panels up, and while I knit them up I decreased on either side to get this very nice shoulder shaping, and then when I got done with that part, I picked up on the back, cast on the stitches I needed for the back, and then started picking up stitches while knitting until I got it perfectly shaped for my shoulders. I'm really, really pleased with that. And then I just knit down until I thought I had enough to do the increases for the armholes, but I started those a bit too early. I didn't know, sadly. So yeah, what I'm gonna do with this one eventually is take back until before I did the increases, which is like here. Then I'm gonna knit at least 2 stripes more, I think, because I think I'm missing 3 centimeters to make this like an appropriate, no, more than 3. No, 3 to make the armhole depth correct, but to get the circumference correct I need like 6 more or something like that. So yeah, 2 more stripes should be more than enough. And then I'm gonna do the color on this, because I'm gonna need the color to see how everything lays. And when I'm done with that, I'm probably gonna knit the body as far as I can. That's what these yarns are for. That's these yarns. And when I'm done with that, I'm gonna pick up the arms or the sleeves and knit as much as I can, because I don't think I have enough yarn. But it might be short sleeved, it might be longer, but the most important point is that the body has to be long enough, because I want to use this as kind of like workwear. I think it's going to be very nice for that, but that means I have to make sure it's not cropped. Like, if it's short sleeved, that's fine. Cropped, not. It can't be cropped at work. That's not appropriate. So yeah. Knit up in... Let me see. I have my notes here, and since it's been so long since I knit on this one, I don't actually remember. It's 3mm needles. The turquoise one is Rauma MITU in the colorway 5775. While the white is Viking Garn Alpakka Storm in the colorway 500. So yeah. I forgot to say the colorways for the black and green hat. So I'm gonna do that afterwards. I'm just gonna get done with this one. But yeah. Maybe when I'm done with my main project, this might get a bit more love, but I think I'm gonna concentrate on the red one. Because I want it done for Christmas. And we're less than 2 months away. So yeah, it's gonna have to get started, or like get going. Yeah, this one, I love it. I love the project, but taking back when it's stripes is a hassle, and this yarn has shown me to not be so easy to work with when I have to rip back, which is the reason why I haven't had the motivation to do anything with this one. Yeah, I started this in August because I was screaming about winter, I guess. And now I have other things I want to do instead. So yeah, I'm gonna put this away. Now, back to my hats. This one is knit up in the colorway Deep Petrol, which is 7281. And the other one is knit up in black. I think it's just called Svart or Svart, in the colorway 1099. So yeah, kind of sounds like a sale. But yeah, those are the colorways for that. I'm gonna put this basket down because we're actually at the last project now, which I am very excited about. This has been my favorite project for quite a while, and I have done quite a lot. I can start with just showing it off, I guess. Now, I don't know how many will be able to tell, but I redid the collar. 2 reasons for that. I noticed when I was editing last week's video that the collar was wider than the rest of the sweater, probably because of the cabling, because that cinches it in a bit, and I didn't change the needle size for the collar last time. Let's just go through the details for this sweater and then I can tell everything about it. It is self-drafted, knit up in 4mm needles in the yarn from Lykkegarn called merino, I'm pretty certain. It's superwash merino in the colorway Mars. And it's almost done. So yeah, I redid the collar. I fixed the problem that I had annoyed me last time, because I had knit the collar intending to tack it down on the outside and then for some reason redecided and tacked it down on the inside. But that meant that the German short rows I had done to make the collar taller in the back was now on the outside. And I could see them quite well. I don't know if anyone else could, but I was not happy. And also the collar was too loose. It was standing away from my neck even after I washed it. It was laying like outside of my neck. I haven't tried it on yet, but I can tell it's gonna sit closer and it's gonna look nicer. And I'm very happy with the detail. Okay, I'm trying to not clack on the table while also showing. It's this detail here where I tacked it down. I did a very good job when it comes to like the elasticity. And also it's a nice detail. I tacked it down close to the pearl row I did. So actually the pearl row isn't visible anymore, but I like that. The pearl row detail is still on the cuffs because you need kind of a separation of the cable and the cuffs to look nice. At least in my opinion. It looks better that way. This is the sleeve that's been washed. So like it looks a lot nicer than the other one. And I don't know how much you can see, but my stitch marker is here. This one. So I have knit quite far. I can actually check just how far. Quite close to being exactly 10 centimeters, which I think is like 4 inches. Wait, I can actually check that. I have inches on the other side of this one. Pretty accurately 4 inches. So yeah, I'm very happy. I'm gonna knit it a tiny, maybe not. Yeah, no, I think I'm getting quite close to being able to knit the hem, but I want it a tiny bit longer so I can like, I don't want this one to feel cropped at all. I want it to be not so long that it like goes below my backside, but more like when I do this, I don't want it to show anything. Regardless of what trousers I'm wearing. I want to be warm when I'm wearing this. Also just for fun, this is what I had left of one of the arms that I ripped out. I didn't use it because I haven't washed it, so it's quite, yeah. You have to wash it before you can use it again, or else it will not look good. This is the part I had to cut out to get the color out, because I knit color top down. So this is actually the color I had, which I think is quite funny. So yeah, I might be able to show what I mean here. Like this one, that's the German short row, and it's on the outside because I decided to tack it down on the inside. It didn't look good at all, in my opinion. And there's loads of them all the way to the front. So like it did show also, like here, the German short rows were visible, and I didn't want that. So yeah, so that's the old color. I haven't ripped it out. When I do, I'm gonna have to wash it to get the kinks out of this too, because or else it will just look like this, spaghetti, I guess, or more like noodles. So yeah, I'm just gonna check how much this weighs. That's like half a ball, because this is 50 grams, 52 to be exact. Which means I probably wouldn't have tapped into this one if I hadn't done that. But this one is weighing 57, so yeah, I would still be on the fourth ball, or like skein cake, if I hadn't had to rip out parts and didn't wash it, I guess. So in theory, because it is long enough now, I could have used the last like 9 grams for the ribbing, maybe even started ribbing a bit earlier, and it would have been fine. But I don't like doing yarn chicken, playing yarn chicken, which is why when I bought it, I bought 5, and everyone was like, 5 is not enough, and I'm trying to tell them, like, I know 500 grams for a sweater for me in this weight is more than enough, because I know myself. I'm short, I like things relatively tight to my body, not super oversized, so I don't need a lot of extra yarn. Yeah. So everyone been saying like, you don't have enough yarn, and I'm like, I have more than enough. I know I have more than enough. I'm barely gonna tap into the 5th ball, and that's just because I wanted it to be a bit longer than some of my other garments. Yeah, I'm a bit annoyed that people don't trust me and my experience. I mean, where I live, almost everyone knits, and I think because I'm fairly young compared to the other knitters, like my mom, my grandma, my sister-in-law's mother, they don't remember that I have knit as long as they have, because I started when I was 3. So even though I'm only a few years into being 30, I still have 30 years of experience. I just haven't knit sweaters for very long. But considering how much I have knit, I know how much yarn you need to get this amount of fabric. It's more like intuitive. So like I know I can use this to get a scarf with approximately this size. I can use this to get a pair of socks. or 2 or 3 pairs of socks, which I kind of know. And it annoys me every time they say like you're not gonna have enough yarn, and they make me doubt myself, and then I end up with way too much yarn because I'm stressed and buy more, which I didn't need, which is stupid. I shouldn't do that. But yeah, I am very, very pleased with this sweater. I love all the cables. My grandma asked me how I could stand knitting so many cables, and I couldn't understand her question because like I don't knit anything that I don't enjoy knitting. If I don't enjoy it, I rip it out or like put it aside until the motivation gets back, because I know I'm gonna like knitting it. It's just not right now. That's why you have more than one project. If I only had one project and had to do that until it was done, I would probably hate knitting. Like, I can knit this cable sweater while watching Netflix or whatever, but not everyone could do that. Maybe you have to concentrate. Maybe you haven't done cables before. Maybe you're not that experienced in reading your own knitting. And if you always have to sit there and concentrate and stare at your work and count and all of that, your brain would turn to mush. You need more than one project so you could like have different modes. Like the red sweater, if I only knit that, I would lose my mind because it would be super boring. But when I'm sitting and I really desperately need not to think, it's perfect. Because like all I do is like when I get to the row counter, I see is it odd or is it even? Okay, it's odd, knit another round. Oh, it's even. Fine, every time I get to one of my markers, I have to increase. And then I know I'm gonna have to increase between the 2 first and between the 2 last. So when I get to a marker, I increase, and then I knit until the next marker, and increase before I skip the marker, and then just continue. And it's like, for me it's very easy because I have a lot of experience, but I know not everyone has that. And being discouraging to people because you think they don't have as much experience as you, I think is mean. I wish people would stop doing that. I was like, maybe you're gonna end up doing yarn chicken, but you have to experience that. You have to go through that. You have to figure out if that's something you can live with. Like, oh no, my project's not gonna be as long as I thought it would. Perhaps I have to rip out part of the sleeve to make the body longer because that's the part that's important for me. Or perhaps I have to rip the body back a bit to get the sleeves the correct length, because the body can be cropped but the sleeves look ridiculous if they're short sleeves. That's like, you have to figure out that. You have to be the one that figures out that problem, figures out the solution, decides what's more important. If I didn't have enough yarn, maybe I would rip out the collar and do a regular collar instead of a folded over one just to get the extra yarn. And I mean, like, the color I had was like, it was like 30 grams. So I could have 15 more grams for the body if I needed to. Which meant it fixes a lot of things. And also, nobody likes ripping back and fixing it, but I can promise, if you see a problem and it annoys you, and yes, it does take more time, but you will love the project more if you fix the problems you see, instead of thinking, it's good enough, I'll fix it on the next project. Because then you end up with a lot of projects you don't love, and that's no fun. I have a few projects, or rather I have one, where I do think there are some problems with it, but it was my first sweater and it was knit out of leftover yarn. So I didn't have enough yarn to like fix the problems I saw, so instead I decided there wasn't a problem. I wouldn't do it exactly like that again, but that's now a sweater that is like mostly for home wear. Also because I knitted out of double Sunday and I had no like mohair or anything to stabilize it, so it's gonna pill like crazy and fall apart eventually. But like, that's the whole point, I guess. I knew the limitations when I bought it. I was supposed to actually knit a baby blanket out of it for my nephew for like 5 years ago. But when I started knitting it, or actually I think I crocheted. Yeah, I think I crocheted the baby blanket, or started crocheting a baby blanket. And crochet uses a lot more yarn than knitting. So I kind of realized it was going to be a very small, dense blanket, which wasn't what I wanted. And then I realized that both my mom and grandma were also like knitting blankets and other clothing, so I realized that it would be an extra blanket instead of like the actual baby blanket, because obviously my sister would prefer to use the blanket my grandma knit, because like that's tradition. And I can understand that. And that's when I decided like there's no use in having 2 baby blankets, at least not when one of them is more suited than the other. Like Double Sunday isn't a superwash yarn, so she could have washed it, which was like, I didn't think it through. And also, yeah, it just, no. So yeah, I do knit a lot for other people, but usually it's more like I knit something for me and then I'm going like, this person would love this, and then I give it to them. So maybe at the end of the year, because we're already in November, maybe at the end of the year I'm gonna have like all the things I knit this year, but I will have things missing because I have already given like 2 pairs of socks away. That's just how it is. I don't think I'm gonna ask to borrow them either, because that's just, it doesn't feel right. But perhaps I could talk about them. I don't even think I have pictures of them. At least one of the pairs I don't have pictures of. But I can show the yarn, because I have leftover yarn. Actually. This is the leftover yarn. The one I'm using for the other pair of socks. Because I knit a pair of pink and purple socks, both with Stelina. And that's the pair that I tried to give to my mom, but they were too big, so my grandma got them. So yeah, that's the bad, I guess. I'm actually considering knitting up a pair in the pink yarn that I had left over for my mom. Oh, sorry, I got a bit tired. Yawning a bit. So yeah, I do have a lot of plans. I do not know how I will have the time for everything, and there's less than 2 months for Christmas, so I don't know if I will be able to knit any Christmas presents. Then again, almost everyone in my family knits, and no, that's not quite true. Some of the people in my husband's family knits, though they're like married into the family. But that's because his family is very warm, so they usually don't wear anything wool. It's too warm for them. Even when we lived in the most cold climate in our country, my husband, it was like literally minus 40, and I know that that's almost the same in both Celsius and Fahrenheit, so it's cold, at least minus 30. And he went outside in a t-shirt just to go to the store, and I was like, at that point I was super cold all the time. I hadn't quite gotten used to the climate yet. So I was bundled up and looked like a penguin because I couldn't walk and like bend my knees. So I was like, yeah, I looked quite cute. And ridiculous, but yeah. And we were just walking to the store, looking at two people from completely different environments. Fond memories. Now I really do love snow. I wasn't quite fond of the weather when it was that cold, but to be honest, now I kind of miss it. I miss waking up in the morning and wondering why it's so dark in my bedroom and realizing it's because my windows have snowed down. And like getting up and doing my work at my computer and knowing that yes, it's storming outside, but in here it's cozy. It's nice and warm. And yeah, I kind of miss that. So today is a good day. It's snowing. I'm happy. So yeah, I have been rambling a bit at the end about both knitting and not knitting related stuff. Yeah, that's just how it is. I am pretty certain I'm gonna get this one done this week. Perhaps not. I might not be done with blocking it next time, but I will definitely have like bound off everything, so that I can like show the before and after. That would be fun. Though it wouldn't be a perfect before and after because like this sleeve is not blocked, but this one is, and you can clearly see the difference. So yeah, I also have to weave in quite a few ends. This is only the leftover from one of the sleeves because I used the other leftovers in the body straight away because since that yarn was unused, I didn't have to wash it or anything to like get the kinks out. So yeah, I will eventually like rip this out properly and wash it and everything. At least before I use it for something, though I don't know what I'm gonna use it for because this weight is, I think it's DK. I'm not 100% certain, but I think it's DK weight. And all of the other hand-dyed yarn is fingering weight. So I would have to like use 2 of something of this to like get the equivalent. And I don't think this yarn is gonna like go well with anything else. I'm not certain. This yarn does not contain any nylon or anything, so I won't be able to use it for socks unless I'm like conscious of the fact that it's gonna be worn out quite quickly. I mean, even the pair I'm wearing now, which do contain nylon, I feel like I'm already wearing out, but that's mostly because I wear them absolutely every day. I don't go a single day without wearing wool socks, and I think that's a remnant from when we lived in a colder climate. I even use wool socks during the summer, but only on days when it rains, which seems silly, but it's more like if you wear wool in shoes, like woolen socks in shoes, even if you get wet, you don't get cold. And we have a saying here, it's if you get wet feet, you get a cold. Or if you get cold feet, you get a cold, basically. So yeah. So kind of like it's not a superstition, that's not the right word, but like I wear wool every day in the summer when it's raining so that I can still use my sneakers that are not waterproof at all, but not freeze even if I'm out for extended amounts of time. If I know I'm gonna be indoors, like I leave my home, I put on a pair of shoes, go outside, and then I'm gonna go to someone else's home, I will not wear my sneakers if it's raining. I will wear a different pair of shoes, but I prefer using sneakers in the summer because they're light and breathable and more comfortable. And also they have better padding, so you're like, you don't get your feet don't hurt if you walk for quite far. But that does mean that if I'm gonna be inside somewhere else where I have to take my shoes off, I'm gonna wear a different pair of shoes so that I'm not leaving wet footprints everywhere. That's not nice. But I'm still gonna wear wool socks. I'm just gonna wear different pairs so it's like they look like regular socks and no one's gonna think twice. Yeah. But like now I wear my warm socks. My warm socks are made out of alpakka forte, which do contain nylon. I think there's from Dale. Yeah. Dale yarn have a yarn called alpakka forte, which contains nylon and is a bit thicker than normal. Yeah, a tiny bit thicker than normal sock yarn, I think. Maybe not. I think they recommend 2.5 to 3 needle. Why don't I just check? Actually, they recommend 3 to 3.5, and I use 3.5 when I knit in this. No, I'm sorry, I use 3. Yes, that's right. This is also very soft. I mean, it's alpaca, and it does itch if it gets warm. For me, I'm very sensitive. So yeah, I'm gonna knit up more socks because I need it, but I don't know. I have to figure out why I don't like knitting socks. Maybe it's because I think it's more fun to knit sweaters now. I used to knit a lot of socks, so. Okay, now I'm just rambling about random stuff. Sorry. So I'm gonna end it here. Thank you all for listening, especially to all the rambling here at the end. And next time you'll see this one done but not blocked. And yeah, please like the video if you liked my rambling, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you later. Bye!